Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be sharing with you my brief experience as a stay-at-home mom. The reason why I wanted to do this video was because I thought it could help some of you out there who are trying to decide whether or not to become a stay-at-home parent. Also, for those that are already stay-at-home parents, this video could possibly help you that you're not alone in facing some of the challenges of becoming a stay-at-home parent. And who knows, maybe some of the things that I mentioned in this video could help you overcome some of the difficulties that you face. If you see my eyes going down every now and then, it's because I have a paper in front of me with a list of questions and things that I want to talk about in this video, so just ignore my eye movement. So this started like a few months ago. We were living in Texas. We had our own house. We were working full-time, me and my husband, and my daughter was in daycare. And then my husband, he was actively looking for a new job, and he got news that he was accepted in a position, but it was in California. So obviously we had to move. Because we still have the house, we had to wait until it's sold. So we still have to pay for the mortgage, we still have to pay for the utilities to keep it up, and then we still have to pay for the fees for the person that's representing us, showing the house to potential buyers. And then while we're here in California, we still have to pay for the rent and then the utilities, and then there's the matter of childcare. So my husband has his new job in California, but for me, I didn't really have a job to go to. I mean, I could. My company had a branch in San Francisco, but in order to work there, it would have to be a 1.5 hours commute to the workplace. And coming back, that's another 1.5 hours, so it's a total of 3 hours, not counting traffic. And who knows how long that would take. So it's impossible for me to accept a transfer to that branch, so I had to resign. And since we're relying on just one income, all of this financial burden got me thinking that, maybe I should become a stay-at-home mom. And once I had this idea in my head, it made more sense over time because we would be saving money from having to pay for childcare. Childcare around here cost a little bit more expensive than what we paid for back in Texas. So being a stay-at-home mom made a whole lot of sense, and that's why I chose to become a stay-at-home mom, at least until the house was sold. So that was the plan. Once the house was sold, then we could put her into daycare, and then I could focus on job hunting and finding a new job. So at the beginning, it was really rough, stressful and tiring. We didn't really have a set routine established just yet, and being the fact that we just moved, we arrived on June 30th, and then my husband had to start work almost immediately on July 2nd. So I was with my daughter almost from the very beginning when we first arrived in California. We didn't have any furniture in the apartment. There was no bed, no table, no chairs, no stroller, no high chair. I did have the car seat, but we didn't really drive out anywhere because I was not familiar with the roads, and I still had my Texas driver's license with me. And I didn't really want to have to deal with, bringing my toddler with me as I tried to renew my driver's license, because that's not fun, let me tell you that. That's a whole different story which I will not mention about here because it's just going to make the video really long. Other than that, I had to be there at the apartment when the movers arrived with the boxes. The boxes was everywhere, and I had to find the time to actually do a little bit of unpacking and organizing the boxes so that it's out of the way and in places where it's more convenient to unpack. There was also the matter of setting up furnitures, because we sold off a lot of our old furnitures back in Texas, and The money that we got from the sale, I used it to order new furnitures from IKEA and other websites. But most of the furnitures was from IKEA. And IKEA delivered the couch on the same day as the movers, I think. Yeah, I think it was on the same day when the movers arrived with our boxes. When the movers first arrived, I told them to please find the stroller or the high chair so that I could put my toddler in and she won't be in your way. And it was kind of difficult because the stroller and the high chair was all the way back in their truck. So there wasn't any way for them to get to it immediately, but they were pretty efficient and quick about it, and finally got the high chair out and I put her in it. And believe it or not, while the movers were bringing in the boxes, she actually fell asleep in the high chair. So that was a relief. Yeah. It was pretty much unpacking and building up furnitures during the first 2 weeks of our arrival in California. So it was rough, stressful, tiring. And I had to be a stay-at-home mom at the same time when all of that was going on. I had to put my daughter to bed on the carpet. I did lay out some bed sheets because there were some bed sheets in a suitcase, and I took that out, I laid it on the floor. I also used her bedroll that she uses at the daycare. I used that to sort of cushion the floor or the carpet. It was just for a week until the movers arrived, so it was an adjustment for all of us. Eating on the floor was not really a big deal. I mean, it's just like picnicking, and there was a lot of space around us. That was the fun part, I guess. Like, you get to lay about on the floor. But it was no fun when you were having a lot of backaches, like I did. I had a lot of backaches from, I guess, the move and not having the furniture to sit on or sleep on. My body was aching throughout the entire time. After all of the unpacking and setting up all the furnitures, like basically everything was settled, right? My daily routine was starting to take shape. It basically went like this. My daughter would wake up at about 6:30 in the morning and I will wake up with her. My husband will continue to sleep on because he doesn't really need to wake up early when I could. So that's what I did. We would basically sit in the living room while having our breakfast, watching the TV or the iPad, YouTube videos. And it's mostly the stuff that she wants to watch. I would watch my stuff on my phone. After my husband wakes up and leaves for work, that would be around 9. So after 9 to 10 o'clock, I would either read to her with the storybooks that we have, or we would go out for a walk. I would take her to walk around the apartment complex. It's gated. Other times, we would go and check out the neighboring stores, the library that's within walking distance, of course, in the stroller. Stroller is one of my favorite mode of transportation for her, just because I could get my exercise in while pushing her around, and she gets to, sit, and I don't have to chase after her in case she bolts and run. And also there's the fact that there's a busy street, so having the stroller to take her out was really, really useful. After doing all that physical activity, we come back for her snack. Her snacks would usually be around 10 o'clock in the morning, and she would have either a choice of cheese stick, milk, chips, fruits, anything that's in the fridge. I try to vary it out, but sometimes she just prefers a certain food item and I give it to her as a snack. And then she takes her lunch around 11:30 to 12, and while she takes her lunch at the high chair, I will have my lunch because that's the only time when she's not climbing on the bed and jumping onto the table while I'm eating and get into all of the stuff. So it just makes more sense for me to take my lunch when she's having her lunch. After she's finished with her lunch, I would put her to bed for her nap, her afternoon nap. Her nap lasts for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, depending on how physically tired she was during the day. And during the time when she's taking a nap, I would either clean up the kitchen, her plates, the high chair, or do some sort of house chore, or even spend some me time. Yeah, I would definitely take advantage of the nap time to do some me time. A little bit of break during the day does help in coping with any stress that you may have when you're a stay-at-home parent. After she wakes up from her nap, I would either turn on the TV for her or let her play on the iPad, or we would do some other activity like reading or craft. And then during maybe like 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, she does get hungry again, so I'll give her another snack. And then after her snack time, she usually feels a little bit more active and she would ask to go out. So we would go out, doing more or less the same thing as the morning walks, or stroll, or even if let's say I need to buy something from the store, I would take her out in the car seat, and we would go shopping. My husband returns home usually around 6 o'clock to 6:30, and when he returns home, I would prepare dinner for her, or he would take over and prepare her dinner, and then she would be eating at the high chair, and then I would be having my dinner. From that moment on, it's basically my me time, because my husband would take over. He would put her to bed. He would give her her bath as well. She usually goes to sleep at 8:30 or around 9 o'clock the latest at night, and it doesn't really take that long. Sometimes it does, but most often it takes about a half an hour to get her to sleep. So after that, 9:30 onwards is basically all of our me times. That's how the routine and schedule is like when I was a stay-at-home mom. It didn't happen all at once, that's for sure. It started off with the iPad and Wi-Fi internet connection. I had my phone, so while I could do things on my phone, for her case, it's usually using the iPad before the movers arrive with the TV. When the TV arrived, we used the television to watch the YouTube videos. I just want to say a little bit about this YouTube thing. I know some parents may not agree with, all that screen time for kids, and it's not advisable. I tend to agree with them at the beginning, but as I go along, I do notice that having her watch YouTube videos, it does help me in coping with the stress that I had, which was a lot during that time. As long as I put on YouTube videos that I felt was educational and beneficial to her, it doesn't really do that much harm. I still have control in the things that she watched. She does have some favorite videos every now and then, and usually her favorite videos are the educational types anyway. So we were watching a lot of Bleepy, super simple songs, and then there's the Alpha Blocks that teaches her phonics, channels like that. Other than the iPad, YouTube, and TV, I have some sticker books. This one is called the Jumbo Stickers, and there's one for Under the Sea, and this one is for the Fairy Tale Adventures. The kind of stickers they use here are reusable vinyl stickers, and it's really, really good. I mean, there's like 4 pages full of stickers, and you can peel it off, and she could play with them over and over again how many times she wants. There's also storybooks. We have like about 2-3 boxes worth of storybooks that I would read to her over and over again. And then there's also the craft related stuff like Play-Doh, the coloring pencils, there's the crayons, the washable types, the markers that only appear on certain type of papers but not on furnitures, so that you don't have to spend time cleaning them. There's also chalk from Crayola that you can wash off easily, and coloring books. We go out often, at least twice a day. We go to the library often, every week actually. I would borrow for her at least 10 books to read to her, and we go through them pretty fast. Now, all of that is for Esri to keep her occupied, right? As for my case, I pretty much do everything using my phone. I read ebooks through my phone, I watch shows through Netflix and YouTube on my phone. Everything was through my phone for my case. Because while she watches stuff on the TV, there's no way I could actually switch the channels to watch my kind of shows. I noticed that after I became a stay-at-home mom, I was doing a lot more house chores, cleaning especially. I would be cleaning mostly the kitchen, the dining area, and the living room because those are the areas that my toddler are at most of the time. I also noticed that I would be doing a lot more things that my toddler is doing. So, say example, while watching a YouTube video and there is a music video like Baby Shark, I am invited to join in to dance with her. And if I refuse to do it, she would throw a fit. So, to keep the peace in the house, I more or less usually have to do whatever she does. And it goes the same for playing with toys or doing craft stuff. I'm usually there with her, joining her in being involved with her with all those things, which is also a good thing because that's during the time where you can actually bond with your kid by being there with her and doing the things with her. You bond with your kid a lot. I noticed that previously I more or less just changed her diaper at the beginning in the morning and at night, so it's kind of like just twice a day. But when you're a stay-at-home mom, you would change her diaper at least 4 times. Yeah, 4 times a day, depending on the bowel movements and how often it gets. So when it comes to me times or break times during her nap, I tend to feel more productive. Like, I don't want to waste the time that was given by just sitting down and watching shows. I want to do something that would make a difference, like cleaning up. So that's what I meant earlier on when I say I found myself doing more house chores, because I feel more productive during those break times and I didn't want to waste that time by just sitting around. So that was definitely a plus. Now, on the other hand, while feeling productive and all that, I did also notice that my stress levels increased. Back when I was working full-time in Texas, it was also stressful, but not as much as I felt when I was a stay-at-home mom, to be honest, because there's a lot of different factors that contribute to the stress, and I will get a little bit more to it in our next topic. And the most difficult thing is managing my stress levels. My stress came from many factors. 1 was because we just moved. 2 was because I had to deal with the unpacking. 3, I had to deal with my toddler. And I was inexperienced at that time and we didn't have any established routine. It's kind of difficult and rough. 4, I was facing with some body aches at that time, like for a couple of months now. And it's probably due to the mattress or the pillow or something. Not to mention the move of carrying, lifting, bending over. All those things contributed to my body aches. And I was also tired most of the time. And I was feeling emotionally drained. So all of these things contributed to my stress levels. And I had to deal with it on a daily basis. And that was the most difficult thing for me when I was a stay-at-home mom. 1, it's important to have a partner or a husband that helps by sharing some of the responsibilities around the house. He does help out in preparing her dinners on some days. He does give her her bath at night, and then he also helps by putting her to bed. Other than that, he does help out in taking out the trash, the recyclables, taking care of the laundry, the dishwasher. He helps out a lot, which I'm really, really grateful for, especially during the weekends as well. 2, one other thing that I usually do is to constantly remind myself why I decided to become a stay-at-home mom in the first place, because I needed to ease our financial burden and also because it would allow me to bond with my daughter. One thing that also will really help that you can do is to sleep early, or at least have enough sleep. So for my case, I make sure that I sleep on average by 11:30 p.m. so that when I wake up at 6:30 a.m., I feel more refreshed and more energized to do the things during the daytime. Try to make yourself sleep early so that you get enough rest. Most of the days, especially for me, when it comes to our daughter, she does wake up almost every day in the middle of the night. When that happens, it's usually me that goes over to her room and put her back to sleep. So I basically get interrupted sleep every day. But if I slept early, it does help in balancing it out. It's interrupted sleep, but still I get the number of hours, I guess, that I need to feel energized. And of course, coffee does help. There was also the fact that I wasn't able to bathe during the day like I normally would prefer because I have a toddler that's awake and active. I wanted to be able to be there to keep an eye on her. So if I took my bath, she could be climbing up the bookshelf or something and hurt herself. So I usually postpone my baths until my husband has returned home. In order to feel more fresh and not like a slob, I make sure that in the mornings, wash my face, brush my teeth, of course, and during the day, I just change out of my pajamas and then wear fresh clothes. If I feel the need that I need to wash my face again, I do. Other than that, I do tend to snack a lot. It's not my favorite option or ways to tackle my stress, but I do find that snacking often does help. So I'm basically eating away my emotions. I try not to do that these days. If I do have to snack, I go for healthier options, I guess. When it comes to dealing with my emotional stress, especially when I find myself really bored doing the kind of stuff that only my toddler wants to do, I try to make things interesting or vary it a lot. So we would do a lot of different things like coloring, crafts, walking, going out. So just doing all of that does help in relieving some of the stress. Oh, I also forgot to mention that I joined some Facebook group, a group of stay-at-home parents, and it did really help me in terms of sharing some of my challenges that I faced, getting good advice from fellow stay-at-home parents. It really did help as well in coping with my stress. I'm pretty sure that you don't really need help in all of this because everybody have their different ways of enjoying their me time. But for me, my me time was basically either watching TV shows, reading books, just being in my room, the door closed and everything. This usually happens when my husband is already at home and he can take over and look after her. Other than that, I do go out sometimes, not often, and it's during the weekends. I would drive out to shops and stores and just, go shopping alone on my own. And then my husband would be at home taking care of her so I could do all of that stuff. And that's basically it. That's my me time. Some of the things I've already mentioned, like I get to bond with my daughter, especially getting to know what her likes and dislikes are, her habits. I get to be in control of what she's learning, especially when it comes to the YouTube videos. I get to teach her how to read, I guess, or not really read, more like familiarize herself with phonics, read to her, build her vocabulary. And then when it comes to exploring the neighborhood, I get to explore and enjoy some of the things that we encounter together. And that was a really good side to being a stay-at-home mom. There's also the fact that I don't have to wake up to a job that I may not like, so there wasn't any Monday blues, or there wasn't even the feeling of I can't wait till Friday is here. The point that I mentioned before, that I felt more productive, doing more house chores and getting things done. I definitely have a higher respect now for stay-at-home moms or dads because it's not an easy job and you don't get paid for it. So you have to be really, really the kind of person that enjoys taking care of kids. It's not for everybody. You need to have a lot of patience. It's also for the kind of person that's able to multitask a lot and able to manage their stress levels for sure. So definitely a high respect for stay-at-home parents because they're able to do it every day and for many years, and they wear a lot of hats, different hats, and they don't necessarily get the appreciation that they need. Not by choice, because to be honest, I'm not the kind of person that enjoys taking care of kids because I get stressed up easily and I don't really have a bucket load of patience for this kind of thing. But if I have no choice and it's based on practical reasons like easing up on the financial burden, then I would definitely do it because I know I can do it. I've done it before. So I would be prepared for it and then I would definitely do it. So if you're the kind of person that has been working all this while before being a stay-at-home mom, you might feel the same things that I did. So when I was a stay-at-home mom and unemployed, I did feel as if I wasn't doing anything that could be considered as successful. I wasn't earning an income and that really added into the stress levels. I did feel a little bit depressed over it because I'm basically using my savings that I worked a lot in order to build, and now that I'll be basically not earning any income, I'll be digging into my savings to spend on things that I want to buy. There was also the worry of not being able to get a job fast enough after my daughter has gone into daycare and after the house is sold. I had to worry about not being able to get a job fast because it could last from 6 months to a year, depending on my luck, I guess, or the methods I use to find a job. And then you'll be faced with things like, relatives or friends asking you, oh, have you found a job yet? Or, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? People will think that, oh, they're trying to help, but in fact, they're actually adding to your stress levels by mentioning it. In order to deal with that problem of being unemployed, I just have to, I guess, motivate myself by convincing myself that I can do it. It just takes time. If I persist, I'll eventually get a job. If let's say you're the kind of person that don't plan to work again and you definitely want to be a stay-at-home mom as long as possible for the benefit of your kids, then you have to convince yourself that not having a career is okay. I don't know how you want to do that because for me, I'm planning to work again. But if let's say I'm not planning to work again, I would definitely try to see the positive light of things. Try to see the importance of being a stay-at-home mom and knowing that the things that I do for my kids, for my family, and around the house is important, that it is as important as having a career or a job out there with a company. So you just have to work at convincing yourself that being a stay-at-home mom is what you want. But to add to that, you have to make sure, to be practical of course, that you have your husband or your partner helping out when it comes to the financial situation, because you're not being paid, you're not earning an income as a stay-at-home mom, so somebody has to be earning an income in order to support your decision of becoming a stay-at-home mom. So just be sure that you have that taken care of before you make the decision to become a stay-at-home mom. If you want to become a stay-at-home mom or a parent, just know the reasons why you want to become a stay-at-home parent first. And then secondly, can you afford it? Can you afford to rely on just one income in the family? And make sure that you have thought of everything. How is your partner or your husband going to support the family while you're being a stay-at-home mom? The next thing you're going to have to be prepared for is the emotional stress that goes with being a stay-at-home mom. There are some days you're gonna feel like you're not appreciated. There are some days you're gonna feel depressed, stressed over the fact that you have so little time to do so many things. So you have to be aware that that's gonna be what you're gonna be facing, and that you're able to overcome that emotional stress. I like to keep a planner of the things that I need to do around the place, and it does help. Or if you're into journaling, you can also write in your feelings, just have a way to release your stress or keep track of things so you don't go crazy. And then lastly, you have to have some me times. Do the stuff that you want to do during those me times. Watch shows, go out, on your own, hang out with friends. Or you don't have friends in a new place, like for my case, I just moved to California. You could join Facebook groups of similar stay-at-home moms. So that's a really good tool to have. Like, you have some support group to help you cope with your situation. So I hope this video has been helpful. It has been an interesting journey for me, and now my daughter is in daycare and I'm starting to job hunt. So it has really been an eye-opening experience for me. I enjoy some of the moments, definitely the part where I get to bond with my daughter. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my other videos, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And with that, see you next time. Bye!